Genesis chapter 2 is not merely a detailed account of how humanity was created. Rather, it reveals the heart of God's relationship with human beings and God's intention for how we are meant to live. While Genesis 1 proclaims God's sovereignty over the universe, Genesis 2 draws us closer, showing how God personally engages with humanity and establishes life as a relational gift. First, Genesis 2 teaches that human beings were created with purpose. God forms the man from the dust of the ground and breathes into him the breath of life. This image declares that humanity is not an accident or a byproduct of creation, but the result of God's intentional and intimate action. Human worth does not come from achievement or productivity, but from the simple truth that God himself created us. From the beginning, humans were made not as tools, but as partners in relationship with God. Second, this chapter reshapes our understanding of work. God places the man in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Work is not a punishment that appears after sin. It is part of God's good design. Labor, as God intended it, is participation in his creative work, not a burden meant to exhaust the soul. The value of work lies not in results or success, but in faithfully carrying out God's calling within a relationship with him. Third, Genesis 2 explains the meaning of freedom and limitation. God allows the man to eat freely from every tree in the garden, except one, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This boundary is not oppression, but an invitation to trust. True freedom does not come from setting our own standards, but from living in trustful dependence on God. The limit exists to protect relationship, not to restrict joy. Fourth, the passage addresses human loneliness. God declares, "It is not good for the man to be alone." This statement reveals that relationship is essential to human existence. God creates woman and brings her to the man, establishing a union where two become one. While this affirms marriage, it also speaks more broadly. Humanity reflects God's image more fully in community and mutual relationship, not isolation. Finally, Genesis 2 reveals who God is. God is not distant or detached. He forms humanity with his hands, breathes life into them, plants a garden for their dwelling, and provides everything they need. This portrays a God who desires closeness, a God who dwells with his creation and lovingly cares for it. In essence, Genesis 2 teaches us that human life finds its meaning not in independence, but in relationship with God. Work, freedom, boundaries, and relationships are all gifts designed to sustain that relationship. Through this chapter, God speaks a quiet but powerful truth. You are not alone, you are not without purpose, and you were created to live in communion with your Creator.